Alright, I'm back again with another recent gaming, where I discuss video games that I've played recently, as shocking as that may seem. Um, I have a pretty strange collection of games here this time. There's some horror stuff, there's a racing game, there's a first-person shooter, and then old school arcade game collection slash business simulator. That's something. So I guess I'll start with the PS5, so the more recent games, and then I'll do PS3 in the middle and end with the PS4 game. So let's start with the hard-hitting horror game Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. Now this is not a mainline Five Nights at Freddy's game; it's a spin-off. And it's a pixel graphics survival horror game. It's not really much of a survival horror game. It's more like a side-scrolling puzzle game with monsters in it. And it's also like a narrative adventure game, more so than a survival horror game. There is some horror in it and there is some survival in it, but it's not a survival horror game in a sense that you are like managing an inventory and whatever. But yeah, I guess you could call it a survival horror game in a kind of whatever. And yeah, it's a Five Nights at Freddy's game. It's clearly aimed at a younger audience. It's not some ultra dark philosophical meditation on existence or whatever. It's a Five Nights at Freddy's game. I thought it was pretty fun. It's very short. I think it took me 2 sessions to finish it the first time around. Probably around 4 to 5 hours if I had to take a guess. And then I did do another run through the game where I got a bunch of trophies. I didn't get the platinum because it requires you to play the game through like at least 3 or 4 times if you want to get all of them. And some of the trophies are really annoying, so I just didn't do that. But I did get most of the trophies, and I saw most of the game. There's a bunch of different endings that you can get. There's collectibles that affect which ending you're going to get, and this sort of thing. But yeah, for the most part, it follows the same formula as other Five Nights at Freddy's games. So you have these different nights. There's 5 of them. Imagine that. What a shocker. There's 5 nights. And you also play during the daytime here, which is a bit different. It's not just the nights where you're trying to not get killed by the animatronics, but during the daytime you kind of you see story and you kind of do some prep work for the nights and things like this. It's very simple. It's very, very simple. You have multiple locations here. So you're not just in the pizzeria. You are at home. You go to school. You control this young kid who is trying to solve this mystery. Like there's a ball pit in the local restaurant that he falls into and gets transported into a different time. So there's kind of a time travel aspect to the game. There's 2 different timelines that you jump between, and he's trying to solve a mystery kind of. And you go to school and you go to this restaurant and you do this kind of light little puzzles and to progress the story. And then when the night comes and you are in the not the present day restaurant, but the restaurant like a couple of decades before, you are there like locked in the restaurant, and you have to like do puzzles while evading monsters, basically. So it's a run from monsters and hide kind of game. Very different from other Five Nights at Freddy's titles. It's more closely aligned with like Security Breach, the first-person Five Nights at Freddy's game, but just in a 2D pixel graphics presentation. There is also a fun little like homage to the original Five Nights at Freddy's here at one point. I'm not going to spoil it, but it's very much tied into the storyline of the mainline Five Nights at Freddy's games. Like you kind of see background to different events and stuff like that. Which is pretty interesting. I'm sure there's some really deep lore in this game that I don't understand because I'm not like a lore expert and don't really care about that sort of thing. But yeah, it's interesting. It's fun, and I like these sort of very short, concise, tight experiences that don't have really filler in them or anything like too much like padding in there. So I did appreciate that about this game. There's also an arcade in the restaurant that you can play a bunch of different arcade games in them. Some of them are actually pretty fun. Some of them are awful, and you have to play them if you want to unlock. There's like alternative music tracks that you can turn on that you can get if you play these different arcade machines and get high scores in them and stuff like that. The most time that I did spend during the first playthrough probably went into the arcade machines and trying to like find all the collectibles and everything to get the best possible ending on the first try, and that's what I did. So it took like 5 hours because of that. But if you just mainline through the game, you can beat it in like 2 hours even on the first try probably. And yeah, it's pretty cool. I guess I've talked enough about Five Nights at Freddy's. What else is there? There's some pretty cool music in the game. It's fine. At launch, there was a lot of technical problems from what I remember hearing, but the game's been patched. It did crash on me once, but I didn't lose any progress, and my save file was fine, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, I thought it ran well, and I didn't see any like noticeable bugs besides that one crash. So the game's been fixed, I guess. And yeah, it's fine. I'd give Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit like a solid 6 out of 10. It's cool. It's nothing special, and it is very much a kids' horror game. It has the jump scares that you would have in Five Nights at Freddy's. One thing that I have to say about the jump scares is that the jump scares in this game I think are much more terrifying than in the mainline games, because here it's all like hand-drawn pixel graphics, and that's what the jump scares are also. And the jump scare monsters, like, they look absolutely fucking horrific. They've been done really well. I have to say that the pixel graphics in this game are like exceptional. Yeah. Also, one thing that I forgot to say earlier is that when you're hiding from monsters or running away, there are these hiding spots, and when you get to a hiding spot, you kind of have to do this sort of mini game thing that kind of determines if you are found or not. And those mini games are just a waste of time. Like there's spiders on the screen. Press X, triangle, square, and circle in a specific order with this sort of time frame. Like, whatever. That really annoying mechanic. I just kind of wish that wasn't there. But yeah, Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. It's fine. It's alright. I did enjoy my time with it. It's also like a cheap game. It's not expensive at all. So I would suggest that even to people who aren't like really into Five Nights at Freddy's or the series, like, you can just play this game without knowing anything about the origins of the series or the lore or anything. It's just it's a story about a little kid who has family problems, and he's trying to. I don't want to spoil anything about the story. Like, he's trying to get closer to his father, and stuff like that. It's a pretty endearing story if you boil it down to the basics of it. Yeah, and the main character is also pretty fun. Yeah, there aren't that many characters in the game. It's mostly just the main character and his father, and just some really shallow side characters. But yeah, it's all right. Moving on to Arcade Paradise. And this is the high score edition. One thing that I have to say is that I was very confused about the DLC thing here, because it says here includes all DLC packs, and as you can see, doesn't have any download codes in it. I bought this brand new, so no download codes. And then when I turn the game on, there is a DLC option in the main menu, and I clicked it just to see what it does. And all the DLC is there for purchase. And I was really confused by this because I thought that it was all on disc. And it is all on disc. Because it is unlocked. If you just put the disc in and start playing the game, all of it is unlocked in the game, inside the game. But you can also spend money to buy them again or whatever. It just doesn't make sense. So if you get the high score edition of Arcade Paradise, do not purchase the DLCs. You already have them. They are on the disc. If you just start playing the game, all the DLC content is there in-game, unlocked. So that's very confusing. But the game itself is fucking fantastic. It's really fun. I'd say this is definitely a hidden gem. Both the original, it's a PS4/PS5 game. So there's a physical for this for the PS4. That's just Arcade Paradise, and then there's this high score edition for the PS5. I'm not sure if that's also available on the PS4, but I have the PS5 version here. And it's a hidden gem. It's really fun. It starts off as a business simulator. You are running a laundromat, so you have to wash clothes. Like people bring their clothes to the store, and you have to put them into the washing machines and then put them into the dryers. And it's really mundane and boring, kind of, but it's been made more fun because it has this kind of sense of humor to it. Like you have to clean up trash, and there's a mini game. When your trash bag is full, there's a mini game where you have to throw the trash back into the garbage, and if you do it with perfect timing, you get extra money for it. And there's bubble gum that people stick into different surfaces, and you have to clean those out. And there's also a timing based mini game for that. And that the gum are treated almost like a collectible in the game, this weird humor. You have a toilet in the game that is constantly getting clogged by the people who use your store. So you have to go in there and unclog the toilet, and that has this really dumb little fighting game mini game to it. And yeah, it has a lot of personality to it, is what I'm trying to say. It's very interesting. And you also have arcade machines at the laundromat. And the more money you make, you can buy more arcade machines. And that's the goal of the game, is to build this arcade, buy all these arcade machines and build this business and get rid of all the laundromat stuff. And yeah, after you play the game enough, the laundromat starts to shrink and shrink and shrink, and eventually you only have the arcade, and you can just run the arcade and just make a bunch of money. So yeah, the game is set in the 1990s. And it has this retro aesthetic with whatever you would expect from that time period. So you have physical money for the most part, coins and stuff that people put into the machines, and you have to collect the coins. And you have telephones that are old school telephones, and it's very cozy because I grew up in the 90s, so this is exactly the type of stuff that I grew up with. So it's very cool to see that again, because I do prefer the 90s aesthetic over the 2000s current day stuff. Just any day of the week, bring me back to the 90s, and please take me away from here and bring me back to the 90s, please. Yeah, it's really fun. Also, all of the arcade machines in the game are playable. So you have, I think, with all the DLC included, there's almost 40, or is it over 40? It says in the back here over 35, but I think it's close to 40 different arcade machines. And these are, for the most part, different versions of real arcade games. So you have a version of Pac-Man here that is kind of it's a cross between Pac-Man and GTA. which is kind of fun. And I've never liked Pac-Man, so it's not by far like not my favorite arcade machine in this or arcade cabinet in this game, but it's all right. You have a Bomberman here. You have a version of Pong. There's like Missile Command. There's whatever like Centipede. There's whatever. What else do we have? You have the arcade dancing machines. There's a racing game that reminds me like F-Zero or Wipeout. There's a top-down shooter in the game, and just, these different eras of arcade games. Some very early stuff, but also more modern stuff, more complicated stuff. And you have to play these. There's also like match 3 games. There's a game. There's a game like Super Hexagon, the PC game, where you have to rotate this around. I don't know if that's also like an early arcade game of some sort. I've played on the PC. It's called Super Hexagon. There's just a bunch of different games. And many of these are really fun as well. And yeah, so you have to play these arcade machines. They all have different challenges attached to them that you can do, and daily challenges that you need to do to make some extra money, to buy upgrades for your character. Many of the arcade machines have progress saved, so you can like there's stories in them and like upgrade trees that you can work on day after day. And yeah, it's really fun. I spent over 30 hours playing this game, like this game with these arcade cabinets and where you occasionally wash clothes for people in a laundromat. It's addictive. I did get the platinum trophy for this as well, which is immediately one of the rarest platinum trophies that I have. It's like 0.4%, I think. Very few people have done the platinum trophy for this, which is understandable because the trophies are quite grindy and some of them are very difficult. There's a trophy in the game for beating level 3 of Line Terror, which is this game where you control a line and you try to move from one end of the... You try to draw squares on the screen without getting hit by this sort of squiggly line monster that moves around the screen. That is a incredibly difficult trophy, but I did manage to get it in the end. And then some of the trophies are very grindy, like the F-Zero Wipeout style racing game. You have to just do it over and over and over and over again to get all of the like upgradables that you need for the trophy. Like you have to upgrade your ship to the maximum. It takes a long time. So it's not a surprise that very few people have the platinum trophy for this, but I think it's worth it. I think it's really fun. I think the game is a hidden gem. It has great music in it. It has these sort of humorous knockoff versions of classic songs. So you have like one of my all-time favorite hip-hop groups is A Tribe Called Quest, and there's a version of Can I Kick It here, titled Can I Beat It? Or Can I Play It, or whatever. They have these different humorous versions of these classic songs in there, and then you have just a shit ton of tracks, like so many tracks. I wish this had a physical soundtrack CD with it, because it definitely deserves it. There's lots of like electronic dance music and everything, like this sort of retro style from the 90s music in it. It's really fun. So yeah, Arcade Paradise, very, very highly recommended for anyone who's into old school arcade games, arcade cabinets, but also people who like these sorts of simulator, life simulation, business simulation style games. Now, the business simulation part of the game is very shallow. You don't really have much to customize in the game. You buy the arcade cabinets and you can choose where they are in your arcade, so you can kind of pick which ones to put next to one another. And it supposedly has some sort of an effect that if you have put a really popular machine next to a non-popular machine, the non-popular machine starts making more money or whatever, but I didn't really see any anything like that to a level that really matters at all. So the business simulation stuff is very shallow in it and undercooked. But that's not really the point of the game anyway. It's more about the arcade cabinets themselves and like playing these different arcade games and time management and this sort of thing. So yeah, it's very highly recommended from me, definitely. I'd give it a solid 8.5. It could be deeper. It could have some of the arcade cabinets are like too close to one another also. There's like multiple games about chopping wood, and there are a couple of these dancing games that are just the same basically, and with new tracks and these sort of things. So there could be a bit more variety to the arcade games, and yeah, but it's cool, very cool. Next up, some PS3 games for a change. I played through Battlefield Bad Company 2. And because I'm a freak, I have two versions of it. This is the original and this is the Ultimate Edition. Now, what's the difference? This Ultimate Edition has not on disc, but a bunch of download codes. These are all expired, so who cares? There's download codes for DLC and stuff, right? So one of the reasons why the Ultimate Edition exists is because there's a download code for Battlefield 1943, which is a online-only Battlefield game, like online multiplayer game. It doesn't exist anymore because the servers have been shut down and there is no single-player component to it whatsoever. So having the Ultimate Edition doesn't really matter at all, but it does have a different cover art, has a different type of spine. So I did pick up both of these from a flea market. Like these are very cheap games. So yeah, let's talk about Battlefield Bad Company 2. Now I played the original Bad Company a long time ago, and I love it. It's a really fun first-person shooter. Now the second game is very different. It's not open like the original game, which is a bit of a disappointment for some people. I don't think the second game is as good as the original. This is the era of Battlefield where they were still kind of like actually focusing on the single player experience and putting effort into them. So this is not like some of the later ones that have just throwaway campaigns in them. So there's actually like thought put into this, and there's a real like storyline going on. It's all right. It's all right. I did enjoy my time with it, but it's not as good as the original. Like the original had this really cool idea with this like exploration that you can kind of freely pick where to go and in what order and like how to approach the missions. There are some missions in this game that feel like it. Like later on in the game, there's this large desert mission that has a bunch of different areas that you have to go to, and you can kind of decide which order to do them in. But mostly this game is very linear. You're just moving in a tunnel, a tube, if you will, and just going through the motions, which is disappointing to an extent. But the game is still really fun. Like you have the destruction from the original game, like these fully destructible buildings and everything. Just take a bazooka and shoot it at the wall of a house, and you have an opening on the side of the wall, and you can go inside the house. Now, is there anything in the house? Probably not. Can you even go upstairs? Maybe in some buildings you can. Is it any use? Not really. But it's still really cool to be able to do it. And that's one of the reasons why I like these PS3 and also PS2 era shooters, because they were experimenting with so many cool things like destruction and everything. Now it's like a given in a modern game that you can destroy buildings and stuff. But back in the PS3 days, that was a novelty. It was really cool to see. Some good things about Battlefield Bad Company 2, about the single player, I mean, of course, because I haven't played the multiplayer at all. The servers aren't up anymore. Some good things is that there's a lot of variety to the missions. Some people could call that a bad thing because there's so much of it. Like you have drone sections, you have sections where you're driving a car, you have sections where you're driving a tank. You have sections where you are just a foot soldier. Most of the missions are like that, obviously, and you have different kind of missions. You have to at some point you have to protect like an object from getting too much damage done to it, and there's different styles of missions in the game. And yeah, I really liked the tank missions. I thought those were really fun. The tank gameplay is like really arcadey and fun, but not to a comical degree. Um, there's also lots of weapon variety. You have unlockable weapons here that you can unlock by picking them up in game. Lots of crazy weapons. So you have like you have all kind. Like one thing about this game is that it's a modern military shooter, yes, but there's also parts of it that take place in like jungle areas and these like areas in different parts of the world that you can unlock weapons from. So you have a collection of like these high tech modern military like assault rifles, and then you have just like the shittiest shotgun imaginable in some other mission. And it's really fun to have this much weapon variety, and like all of the like heavy machine guns are really fun. You have an auto shotgun, like a striker style auto shotgun in a game that's pretty OP, and yeah, it's fun. All kinds of sniper rifles, like fast firing semi-automatic sniper rifles, and then you have these single shot bolt action sniper rifles, and yeah, it's great how much variety there is to the weapons. But yeah, I kind of wish there weren't that many turret sections in it. I would rather just be the foot soldier and then occasionally drive a tank. But yeah, it's all right. The storyline is very over the top, like it was for the original Bad Company. So in the original Bad Company, you are like in this sort of adventure mode, like scavenging gold, basically. And in this one, you are like, it's very, very Call of Duty coded in many ways. Like there are these terrorists, and you have to stop them. Like that's basically the idea. It's not as comedic as the first one, but the characters are so over the top that they're trying to kind of compensate for that with the characters, I guess. Yeah. What else? The gameplay feels fine. It's aged well. One thing that's always a mystery when you play an older FPS game is how well has the controls aged. Battlefield has always been one of the best in terms of how smooth the gameplay feels, how smooth the aiming feels, and it's great in this game. Really well aged. Love it. Yeah, it's all right. It's a Battlefield game. It's a Battlefield Bad Company game. It's not as fun as the original, but it's still pretty fun. So I'd give it this like a solid 7 out of 10. It's pretty cool. Now, another PS3 game that is pretty cool is Sega Rally. I picked this to play because I needed something like different, because I had played so many shoot 'em ups and horror games and whatever that I needed something completely different. So I decided to pick a racing game to play, and I thought that Sega Rally would be like some chill arcade racer. But it's actually one of the hardest video games I've ever played. It's ridiculous. I did play it for over 10 hours, which is quite a lot for a rally game. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a trophy list. So it's one of those early PS3 games. You can spot the early PS3 games from the red marker on the spine if you just compare it to the later games that have this black one. So it doesn't have a trophy list. That is also a blessing, because the trophies in this game would have driven me crazy. Like, this is one of the most difficult video games I've ever played. It is absolutely ridiculous. I played the game for maybe, let's say, an hour and a half, before I had to go online and Google, like, is this game really difficult or am I just garbage at it? And I found forum post after forum post, Reddit post after Reddit post of people asking the same question, like, what is up with the difficulty level in this game? Because there is no difficulty setting here. It's just a basic difficulty. And it took me like 2 hours to even beat a single race in the game. Like, finish first place in a race. It is brutal. The AI is just ridiculous. Now, the game did get a lot easier after I found out that if you move from the third person camera view into the first person camera view, or like the hood camera, where you only see like the front of the hood of the car, that actually affects the controls, because the controls are really difficult in this game. So it's very easy to lose grip from your tires and get like your car starts wobbling from one side to the other, and it's really difficult to control. But if you move the camera to the hood camera, there is no wobble at all. So you can drive a lot faster, and the handling becomes easier. And after I figured that out, I started winning races, and I started making some progress. Now, I never finished any of the tournaments in this game. So you have like I think 3 different like these large sections in the game. I can't remember. It's such a long time since I played this. Like, I played this like 3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago. I can't remember the titles of them, but you have these 3 sections in the game that are like different tournaments, basically. And then within those, you have these smaller like sections that have 3 races in each. So you start with the amateur. Well, I guess it's the amateur tournament. That it has 3 races in it, and then you get points based on how many like high placings you get. And then you move on to another tournament that has again 3 races in it, and then another one that has 3 races in it. And you have to do these races over and over and over again and get higher and higher placings to get more points to unlock new content. But I never managed to get in each of these like sets of races. I never managed to unlock the last one, which is the final tournament in each of these. Because it takes so many points to unlock those, and I just couldn't finish. I couldn't get enough first place finishes to unlock them. I just found it impossible. I'm not good enough at racing games to unlock these. So I never managed to unlock any of the final races in the game. So there's that. I did play it for over 10 hours, and I did unlock a bunch of stuff, a lot of stuff. There aren't that many races in the game, really. There's like a safari track. There's a icy snow mountain track. There's some rainy forest track. There's a rainy forest track, and there's a desert track, whatever like you would expect. And then you have variations of those. Like in one race, you go like counterclockwise, and in another race you go clockwise, like from beginning to end, from end to beginning. And you have some variations of these tracks, but for the most part, you're playing the same tracks over and over again. It's really good for building muscle memory, because the game is, again, really fucking hard. So if there were more tracks and more track variety in it, it would be even more difficult, because you wouldn't be able to build up this muscle memory on how to go through these tracks. But the AI in this game it's so punishingly difficult. It doesn't make mistakes, and the weather effects do not affect the AI the way it does affect you. Like, they seemingly can just go like full speed in sections that you cannot do that in, and they can go like really at high speeds into corners that you would just crash in if you try to do the same thing. It's unfair. Like the AI is unfair, and it sucks really. I wish there was a difficulty setting in this game that would allow you to make it easier, because it's way too difficult. It's way too hard. But I also did enjoy the challenge, and I did manage to beat a bunch of the different races. I got first place finishes in many of them, and I did learn how to play it better by just doing it over and over and over again. I also used this as a podcast game. It's very good for that. So I listened to a bunch of podcasts while doing the races. So that was cool. But yeah, it's too difficult. It's too difficult. It's too hard, and that's kind of sad, because it's a really fun racing game. It's also really deep with the mechanics. It's an arcade racer, but there's this really fun idea in it where all of the cars during the races, like, they leave tire marks on the racetrack. So if you're racing through mud, like, all of the cars, like, they create this sort of variety to the races, where each race is a bit different depending on how people, like, drove around the tracks. So you have these, like, sections of the maps that adapt to how the people are racing, and it affects how your car handles. Like, if you're driving on mud that has, like, these tire marks on them, it has more grip to it, and things like this. So it's a very interesting idea. It's a very cool idea. I haven't seen many racing games try something like that, and I don't remember ever seeing a racing game before this that did something like that, where the cars affect how the track adapts throughout the race. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, I did like Sega Rally a lot, actually, like, way more than I was expecting. Like, this is a classic series. I've played a bunch of Sega Rally games in, like, arcades with these, like, arcade cabinets that have the cars in them that you sit in, and stuff like that. It's really cool, and it's really sad to see that this is one of the last, if not the last, Sega Rally games, at least for home consoles. I think in North America this game is called Sega Rally Revo. So this is the same game. I should have said that like 10 minutes ago. But yeah, this is Sega Rally Revo. I think that's the title of it in North America. So yeah, this is just a European title for that. So it's the same game. And yeah, it's punishingly difficult. Really, really fun. I would go as far as give Sega Rally like a solid 8 out of 10. Just because I did enjoy the challenge to a point before it became unbearable. And when I first started playing the game, I finished, I think in the first set of races, the first set of 3 races, I finished 8th, 6th, and 8th. So last place, 6th place, and last place. And that was pretty humbling. And it took me so many tries to get first place in any of the races, but I eventually did. And so, yeah, if you want to be cliche, this is the Dark Souls of rally games. So there you go, 8 out of 10 for the Dark Souls of rally games, Sega Rally Revo. And then to end, let's talk about Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Now, I bought this physical a long time ago. This is the Asian English release, like Chinese English release for this. And this is the Wii title, I think. Yeah, this is the Wii title, and then Maiden of Blackwater, that's the Wii U title, right? If I remember correctly. I think it's that way around. So this is the 4th game in the series. And I have to say, I didn't enjoy this game much. It's kind of disappointing to me. Now, the first problem that I have with Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse or in Europe these games were called Project Zero, but this is the American title, Fatal Frame: Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. The first problem I have with this game is that the controls are horrifyingly bad, like insanely bad. It is truly shocking how they fucked up the controls for this game. So when I first started playing this game, I turned the game on. The menu looks very promising. It's really cool, really atmospheric. Reminds me a lot of like this old school PS2 era survival horror games like Silent Hill and stuff like that. But the menu is fantastic. And then I start playing the game, go to new game. The opening cinematics look just like what I would expect from Fatal Frame. In this sort of, they have this folk horror feel to it, and also this analog horror feel to it. It has this old school, like VHS era style to it, with these really grainy videos, because this game centers around a dance ritual. So there are recordings, like video recordings of that dance ritual in the game, and the visuals are so cool with this grainy look and a really dark and atmospheric look to it. And then I start playing the game, and I take the first steps and I move around the camera, and I am shocked. I'm in horror, not because this is a horror game, but because the controls are so incredibly bad. I cannot believe it. I had to spend the first around 10 minutes going back and forth between the game and the options menu, and just changing the look sensitivity and just every possible option that there is to try and make it tolerable to play it. Now, finally, I did put the sensitivity to the maximum level, so maximum sensitivity, and the game started feeling all right, I guess. And that should never happen. Like, usually when I'm playing a game, I lower the sensitivity because it's too fast for me, and I like this feel when I'm playing the games that I can do like precise movements. But here, it's full sensitivity, max sensitivity, or it feels almost unplayable. Like the camera sensitivity is so low, so slow, you can't even turn the camera properly. And the movement speed, well, there's nothing really you can do about that, but the movement speed of the characters is unbearable. Like these characters, like, they are kind of running, but they are moving slower than you would expect someone to move when they're walking. So the running animation is really bizarre. It's like unnaturally slow. These like the characters in this game, like you are playing as 3 different female characters, one of which you only control at the start of the game, and then there's a male character, and all of them move so slowly. It's comical how slow they are, and it's the game is also really long. It's like 15 to 20 hours, which is way too long for this style of game, like just in general. But if the movement speed was faster, I think that would like cut down the playtime like with 5 hours, maybe 3 to 5 hours probably, just from the movement speed. And yeah, I didn't replay the game, obviously. Why would I? And there is so much content in the game. There are so many collectibles. There are these ghosts in the game that you have to take pictures of. Obviously, it's a Fatal Frame game. It's a survival horror game where you walk around in these like haunted places, and there's a bunch of ghosts in there, and you have to like bring up your camera and then take pictures of those ghosts. Some of them are passive, so you just take pictures of them, and they're kind of like collectibles. And some of them are aggressive, so they try to attack you, and you have to take pictures of them with different sort of timings and whatever to do damage to them. And yeah, I really like the combat of the original Fatal Frame. Like it's the only one that I've played so far. So I've played the first one and then this one, and I like the first one a lot. Most people prefer the second one. There's also a remake of that out currently, which I have to get. I'll have to play that at some point. But people love the second game. Some people like the third game as well. But for me, like the first game, that's the only one I've played, and I loved it when I played it. Probably around 10 years ago at this point. And yeah, the combat is what I really remember from the first game. It's really fun. You really, at least at that time, was kind of unique. There are now many other horror games that have photography elements in them. But back then, it was very, very novel and very unique. And in this game, the combat sucks. The combat is really boring. It's way too easy. And then there are some boss fights that are way too difficult. So there isn't really a middle ground there. It's just 90% of the game is incredibly easy. Like the ghosts don't even do anything. And I'm now talking about just a regular difficulty level, because there are, of course, higher difficulty levels. But I don't think you would. I don't think it's. I think it's really dumb to make the normal difficulty level, which most people are going to play, so easy that there is almost no challenge to it. Like the ghosts don't do anything. They just slowly drift toward you and make like ghost noises. And then you take pictures of them and then they vanish. Right? And then there are a couple of boss fights where the opponents are ultra aggressive, and I was just dying over and over again. And it's ridiculous. There should be a middle ground. Now there are two more difficulty levels, and the hard difficulty level, apparently, from what I gathered, is not something that you should start with because it's too difficult for your characters at the it's not balanced for the new game. It's a new game plus thing, basically. So I don't really know what they were thinking with the difficulty levels here. They should have made the normal difficulty level a little bit more difficult, at least. Now some positives, just now that I've trashed the game. The visuals are really cool. It's very atmospheric. It has this really, really nice folk horror feel to it, like I said. So it takes place on this like island that's kind of mysterious and just out there, and there's islanders, villagers that have this dance ritual thing, and there's weird stuff going on with people getting blurry faces. I don't want to say more about that because it's a spoiler, but there's this medical condition where people's faces get blurry, which is really strange and compelling. I like that idea a lot. This sort of strange medical phenomenon that no one can really explain. And there are doctors on the island who are trying to figure out what is going on with this stuff and so on. And it's connected to the dance ritual and everything like that. And that's really cool. I like the story. I don't like the way the story is presented in the game necessarily, but I like the story in and of itself and the ideas behind it. So again, just I said that I'm going to say some positive things about the game. After trashing it, I turned the positive into a negative. So there you go. But yeah, some of the problems with the storytelling, like you are walking really slowly through these areas, and you have this flashlight that you have to shine around, which is like a Wii era stupid gameplay design choice. I wish they didn't make this game for the Wii because it's wasted on that system. So of course, because of the Wii mode, you have a flashlight and you have to wiggle it around to find stuff, right? So, and it's almost like borderline broken, the flashlight mechanic, by the way, because there's an indicator on the screen when an item, like a hidden item, is close to you. So you know that there is something close to you. But I was just standing there at times, like wiggling the flashlight around for minutes without anything popping up. And then I like go to some random corner of the room and wiggle my flashlight there, and then it pops up the item like behind me or whatever. It's like broken, the system. But many of these items that you find are like lore dumps. So you have just dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of these documents that you unlock, none of which are voice acted. So it's just reading, and it's so repetitive. It is borderline. It just made me insane by the end of the game. Just, document after document after document after document talking about the same stuff over and over again, about this dance ritual and about these like caves and about these like a couple different characters, like the doctor character, and then this sort of like these different sisters and stuff, and like these different like words associated with the storyline just getting dropped on you, lore dumped on you over and over and over again. Like, I can't remember how many times I read the same stuff about the blooming, what is it, the blooming or whatever, like the condition with the blurry faces. It's the same stuff over and over again, and it's like one of the words, like, it's etched into my mind forever, is the Rokura Kagura or whatever it's called, like that. Just dozens of documents talking about the same shit over and over again. It's so annoying, and it's again, it's just padding the time, the running time of the game. Like, you get the same information so many times, and like the same stuff about, like, the game is called Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. So there's, of course, like this eclipse stuff that's related to the whole thing. So like the stuff talking about the lunar eclipse and the different masks related to it, and the, like, death masks and whatever. It's the same stuff over and over again. And it's from the point of view of different characters. Yes, like the documents have been written by different characters, but the different characters are saying the same stuff with different words. Like, what is the point of this? Like, do I have to read the same stuff about this eclipse and these masks and the dance ritual 20 times? Probably more than 20 times during the game. Like, what is the point of that? All right. So let's get back to the positives again, after being negative for so long. The enemy designs, although the enemies suck in terms of, like, they don't attack you like properly, the enemy designs are really cool at times. Like, there are so many different ghosts, so many different of these collectible ghosts that like appear at different points of time on the map, and you have to like get them. Like, these sort of, they're like timed exclusives. So you get a yellow prompt on screen, so then you know that there's a ghost that's about to disappear on the screen. So you have to quickly bring up your camera and take a photo of them. Again, to turn this positive into a negative, bringing up the camera and taking pictures of the ghosts sometimes just completely, you miss the ghosts, although they are on the screen, so you don't get all the collectibles. If I had to collect all of them, which you have to do for the trophies, I would go insane, because there are very few save points, and if you miss one of these yellow light ghosts and you want to collect them, you have to load a save file and go back and like try to do it again, and it just doesn't work at times, like getting these pictures. So there I am again, turning a positive into a negative. But the designs of the ghosts are really cool. So you have these like creepy doctors and nurses, and these villagers that died because of this sort of condition that's going on, and these creepy Japanese like little girls, like these children, because the game takes place in like a what do you want to call it? Is it an insane asylum? Well, it's close to that. It's a sanitarium, right? So it's a place where these like people are brought to be treated for these like mental problems. And many of these characters are really fucked up, and the designs are pretty cool. Yeah, so that's a positive, and the atmosphere is positive. I like the folk horror style. I like the grainy analog horror stuff, and I did start getting more into the game the more I played it, because at the beginning of the game the story is very disjointed. I know I keep using this word when I describe stories in video games like over and over again, but it's true here as well, because you have multiple playable characters. And it's kind of the same problem that I have with Forbidden Siren on the PS2, where the different characters, their stories, that they are connected, but they feel like they are not really that connected, because you are playing as one character for like an hour, and then you play as the second character and the third character and the fourth character, and by the time you've played all of those different characters, I couldn't even remember the name of the first character, or who they were and how they are related to all of the other characters and the whole story going on. So it's also my problem, because I played this game with a friend of mine, and we did like short sessions, so it took a pretty long time for us to get through the whole game, because it's so long. So it took like probably a couple of months. So by the time I was at the end of the game, I couldn't really remember much of all of the different characters and all the documents and stuff. Even though the same stuff was repeated over and over again, I still couldn't remember like which character is whose father and who is whose daughter, and then there's this sort of mother character and whose mother is that, and some aunt and whatever. I just couldn't remember them at all. And because the story jumps from one point of view to the other, it's kind of confusing at times. But when you get closer to the end of the game, there are longer sections with each character, and some of the characters drop out of the story. No spoilers. And yeah, so you kind of get more of that one character at the end of the game. And I kind of wish that was the whole game, like playing as either one or two characters, not four of them, because four is too many. In Forbidden Siren, it's ridiculous, because there's like, how many characters are in Forbidden Siren 2? I can't even remember. Like, feels like dozens. Probably not that many, but still. But it's just too much. Like it's. I don't really get the point of this sort of fragmentary storytelling when you could just tell a better story from one or two points of view. So maybe that's my problem more so than the game itself. But whatever. So yeah. Is there anything else to say about Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, other than that it was a massive disappointment for me? Like, people usually rate this game pretty highly. Like, this is one of the better entries in the series, according to many people. And I'm kind of surprised by that, because I thought the game was really janky and just not that great. Other than the atmosphere, which is fantastic. And the soundtrack. I love the final boss fight music. I've listened to that for years before even playing the game. It's the really strange song with these sort of... What is the instrument? I can't remember the name of the instrument in English, but it has this very distinct... Like, it's like bagpipes or something. It's probably not bagpipes, but it sounds kind of like that. It's really strange. It's a really strange song. I love that song, and yeah, the soundtrack is really cool as well. But all right, I've rambled on for like an hour, and I also threw my copy of Fatal Frame on the table. So yeah, there you go. Unforgettable horror. I guess one more thing to say about this game is that there is some variety to the combat, because the male character has a different style of weapon. It's not a camera, it's a flashlight. It kind of works like a camera, which is weird. But he is really overpowered, because you can just do... with the flashlight you can just spam attacks. It doesn't work like the camera where you have to take a picture and then load another like film and stuff like that. So with the flashlight you can just spam attacks. It's kind of strange, very different from the regular gameplay. So there's a little bit of variety to the gameplay as well. Also, right, let's end again, right, because I don't script these, so I'm just coming with the stuff off the top of my head. One more negative about the game: the map, the level design. I like the idea of this sanitarium. However, the way that it has been executed is kind of clumsy, because you have these different characters. They are in different parts of the sanitarium, also at times in different time periods, and they have these very small sections that they can go to. All of the doors are locked. Pretty much all of the doors are locked, and then when you need to move to another section of the map, a ghost just appears and opens a door for you, or whatever. It's ridiculous. It's really dumb how they do it. A really clumsy way of doing it. So you're kind of like handheld by the game at all times. Whenever a door opens, the map comes up on the screen, and there's not literally, but there's pretty much like an arrow pointing, go there, and like a line drawn on the map, like how do you get there? It's really over the top handholdy. Handholdy, is that a word? It holds your hand way too much. And yeah, I just kind of wish that it was more open. You could explore, but you can't really. You're just slowly nudging your way forward at a snail's pace on this like tunnel that you have to move forward in. So yeah, there's one more negative. I would give Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, even after all of this complaining, like a low 6 out of 10. Because I did enjoy the end game of it. And I did enjoy the atmosphere of it. It wasn't an awful experience, even though there were parts in the game that I thought were pretty awful. There are some positives there that I can come up with, so I'd give it a 6 out of 10. This is maybe controversial, but I think Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit is a better horror game than Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Just in terms of it being like a fraction of the length, being like tightly written. There's lots of exploration, like light puzzle solving, really cool monster designs in Into the Pit. And after I beat it, I played through the same. I played through it a second time immediately afterwards. Took me like an hour and a half to run through the game again, collecting trophies. So that was really cool. For Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, if I did a trophy run of that game, it would take me like 10 hours. So I'm not going to do it. So yeah, there you go. Five Nights at Freddy's Into the Pit. What did I give that? Like a solid 6 out of 10. It's cool. Arcade Paradise, like 8.5, hidden gem. Really cool arcade cabinets in that game. Also some pretty fun business simulation stuff, but not really that much of that. More focus on the arcade games. Battlefield Bad Company 2, like a basic 7 out of 10. All right single player campaign. Sega Rally, incredibly difficult racing game. By far the most difficult racing game I've ever played. Really cool stuff, but maybe a bit too difficult. 8 out of 10. And then Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse, a low 6 out of 10. I'm very surprised that Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse is the lowest of these 5 games. If I picked out these 5 games and I did a prediction on how I would rate them, I would have probably put Fatal Frame at the top, followed by Arcade Paradise, and then maybe Battlefield, and then Sega Rally, and then Into the Pit. But the order is completely jumbled, completely different. All right. So it took me an hour to talk about these 5 games. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll try to make these a bit shorter maybe in the future, but I don't know. I just have a lot of things to say, and I like hearing my own voice. So there you go. But yeah, I'll be back again next week for something else. Hope you enjoyed this stuff, and I'll see you. Bye.